Joe Mazzulla came out recently and said that Derrick White will be the starting point guard for the Boston Celtics heading into the 2023-2024 NBA season. I want to know, do you think Derrick White deserves, or at least should be, the starting point guard for your Boston Celtics?
I think that's a little bit of a toss-up. I mean, he played well in the playoffs. He had that big shot against Miami, right? That kept the season alive with 2 seconds left. He ran in there, got the rebound, and laid it in just before the clock expired. It's pretty amazing. And so he goes down in Celtics lore for that one. Whether he can do it every night, as a starting point guard, I'm not so sure. I mean, they have Brogdan too. Brogdan is good. I think those guys their minutes will be very close to one another. And they also have Pritchard out there. I know you hate him, but
here's the thing. I do not hate Peyton Pritchard. He is just he is what he is, and that is a role player, a 7th, 8th, 9th man. He's not out here, leading the Celtics to victory. He has his moments. He has moments 2 seasons ago.
It's a pretty good 3-point shooter.
Last season, he was, you didn't even really see it. You saw him when they were crushing teams, maybe, or down by so much they had no chance to come back. So I did a little bit of research, and I decided to look up when Derrick White was listed as a point guard, and that was his first, I believe, 2 seasons with the Spurs. Those are then he moved to shooting guard. The only 2 seasons where he was listed as a point guard for the Spurs, because that's the only data that I have about him being a point guard. And Malcolm Brown's career as a point guard, mostly on the Pacers. This is the comparison between the two. So 55 to 160 games. Malcolm Brogdan obviously has more. Points per game, 8.5 for Derrick White, 17.4 for Malcolm Brogdan. Malcolm Brogdan has more rebounds, more assists, slightly lower shooting percentage, slightly lower field goal percentage, slightly lower three-point percentage, but he's played 105 games more at the point guard position than Derrick White has. So those numbers, I could assume. I mean, they're obvious that they're going to be lower, probably just because.
I really think Derrick White is more a 2 guard than he is a 1.
Well, that's why I think this is a mistake.
He's a good 3-point shooter, right? And I think that might suffer a little bit being the point guard, because he's going to be, pressuring the lane, trying to drive in there and distributing the ball. So I think his 3-point shooting is going to suffer as a point guard.
Well, Derrick White did have a good year last year. He had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
But to say that Derrick White now is going to be the starting point guard of the Boston Celtics, so you could have White, Brown, Tatum, then probably Porzingis and Horford. That's probably going to be your 5th man. I don't love that, because guess what? Newsflash, you still don't have a distributor. But this does play into Joe Mazzulla's philosophy that he tried to employ last season of heavy 3-point shooting. Because you gave up your best defender, at least I would say, you're probably your best defender in Marcus Smart. And you already had a problem with not having a true distributor. And now you're going to put a guy he hasn't been a point guard in years. You're going to put him in the point guard spot after you just traded for a guy last season who at one point in his career averaged over 7 assists, and the past couple seasons before he got to the Celtics was averaging 7.1 assists, 5.9, and 5.9. And you're letting a guy who hasn't played a traditional point guard role in years.
Yeah, well, the Celtics really haven't had a true point guard for a while. I mean, Marcus Smart wasn't a true point guard.
Correct.
And so they may be kind of sticking with their philosophy. Sometimes Tatum brings the ball up. Sometimes Jaylen Brown brings the ball up.
I think both those are bad ideas.
Yeah.
Well, the last time they had a true point guard, you could probably say, was Kyrie Irving back in 2018, 2019.
Right.
So it's been about 4 seasons since you've had an actual distributor. And now you're gonna put it to a guy who's primarily a 2 guard because it fits your philosophy. I mean, here's the thing. Why can't you go a little bit smaller and still keep that 3-point prowess? You could have Brogdan as your point, then you have Derrick White, then Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Porzingis. That's your starting 5. That's a better starting 5, and you actually have someone who could distribute the ball.
Jaylen Brown's a little small to be the small forward.
But that's what I'm saying. You go smaller.
You do go smaller, that's for sure. They may play that. They'll probably play that rotation some.
I said on money that this may be a lineup, like the lineup that they now announced will probably be the starting lineup. that they might test it. But I really think you probably should go with the distributor. And maybe Derrick White stays as a bench player. And then you would have Malcolm Brogdan, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then you could have your 2 big men. You don't need only 1 big man. So I don't love this for the Celtics because he's not a true distributor. You actually have a guy who's a very, very good point guard. Or I guess for the Pacers, he was a very good point guard. But at least he gave he gave the Pacers extreme distribution. He averaged 7.1 assists a couple seasons ago. Then a couple seasons after that, he averaged basically 6 assists a game. Now he dropped off, but he was the 6th man of the year last year. And Derrick White hasn't been a point guard in like seven seasons.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.